Hi guys, I'm Julian, and this is Boss Move on Expose TV, where we have real conversations with leaders shaping their industries. Today we have our very own, the woman who took Expose from a television program to a thriving media company, and the person is Mrs. Lola Oduba, the CEO of Expose Media.
Yay! Drum roll!
It's an honor to have you here, ma'am.
Thank God I'm here.
How are you feeling today?
I'm very well, Julian, and you look breathtakingly beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, I know you're a very busy person and I do not want to take so much of your time, so I'll just go straight into the business of the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so today when we see successful people, we see their destination. We don't get to see their journey, and we don't get to see their journey.
Yeah.
So today we would like to know, before Expose became what it is today, what did your journey really look like?
Are you sure this program can take my journey? My journey is long ago. This is the only thing I know how to do. This is the only thing I've done all my life.
Okay.
This is the only thing. I mean, immediately I left secondary school. Even before I went to university, I started doing this. But the good thing is that the process is that it was never my own production. When I started as far back as 17, 18. I remember I started as a model. And I think my first big job was as an usher at Federal Palace. That's in Lagos. Then from the Federal Palace, I remember I now got this very big gig, which was Ultra Shin TV commercial. It was a speaking role, and I got the Ultra Shin thing. I remember, I mean, back in that day, you know what I mean? There were many models that came for that thing. And we were over 400 to 500 models that came for that casting. And I remember I was picked by Lloyd Weaver of Swift Studio. He's an American, but he was heading the Swift Studio in Lagos, Nigeria then. And I remember that I was just picked, you know, out of a lot of people, especially I remember also in that casting we had people who had contested in that year for Most Beautiful Girl in Nigeria. She got the role as well. I remember, you know, also, I can't remember her name again. And she was in that casting as well. She was on the project. But the main thing was that the main model that was taken from that event to use for the speaking role was me. So that was a huge boost to my career. And from then on, I just never looked back. I went on to do calendars, went on to do cover magazines, went on to do newspapers, you know, went on to do so many things, you know. So that's how, of course, the journey was like. So it's not a one-day thing. I graduated from being a model to being a TV presenter. Then I was hosting a show on NTA Channel 10. Then there were just two TV stations, NTA Channel 10, NTA Channel 5 in Lagos. There was no AIT, there was no Silverbird, there was no Galaxy, there was nothing. There was just NTA 10 and NTA Channel 5. And I remember NTA Channel 5, they would open, I think, 4 o'clock, and then everybody would shut down at 12, and there was no TV again until the next day, you know. So I remember presenting for a guy. Was the fashion and beauty show. That was my first presentation. Fashion and beauty, it wasn't my show. Of course, I had to learn the ropes. I was being paid to be a presenter. And I think from then I went on to Super Screen TV. And I was the first face to unravel the Super Screen TV brand. And while I was at Super Screen TV, I remember also now thinking to myself, about 2 years or so into Super Screen TV, I've done such a great job. I learned how to market there. I learned how to be a producer there. I learned how to be of course I was already a presenter, but because of the constancy of having to come on air every day, I had shows I was doing. I was hosting so many shows. I was doing the special shows as well. Anytime there's a Christmas day, there's a New Year day, I was always in the studio hosting the live broadcast. There were no holidays. I remember being in the office 2-3 days and not going home. I remember taking my bath upstairs where there was no bathroom on the rooftop, and just before it's daybreak, I would run upstairs with my bucket and quickly go and pour water. And then the next day I'm back to the studio again, you know, hosting another show.
It must have really been stressful.
It was stressful. but it was fun.
Exactly.
Because I wanted to do it. I wanted to learn. I wanted to give my best. And to give my best, I needed not to have any excuse to be an authority leader in this profession today. I needed to know the business. So, and I remember also then that I met a woman who was a very famous newscaster then on the network news. And as I saw her, I was so surprised because unfortunately in those days, people who were in the entertainment industry were not doing very well. They had all this name, but they didn't have the, they didn't have the resources to back up that lifestyle. Unlike now that, so much has changed in the industry, So I remember that I mean, this was a woman I looked up to on network news, and I came out and I saw I wanted to take a taxi. I couldn't even, and I told myself that I needed to learn the business of this industry. Meaning that this industry is not just to show your face and be popular. There is a business behind it. That's why it's called show business. But a lot of people were focusing on the show and not the business side. So I was happy that I had the experience being a marketer at the TV station I worked in, because I came in as a marketer and presentation was my second duty. So I was happy because it exposed me. I remember walking on streets of Lagos. Long journey, long streets, just looking for who was going to come and partner with me on my show. And then I was going to earn some money for the company. I was going to do things for the company. I remember that because we weren't giving transport money. We're not giving anything. You were on your own. You had to find your own way. And I found my way. And then Expose started. And it changed the whole game. Because immediately Expose came on, the first Expose tape that came on air, by this, I think came with this close-up commercial. Because before I went to, before Expose started on air, I remember that I had gone to some media agencies. I had a friend then in channels, and of course, very good guy. I like you. Thank you for changing my world. You must collaborate. You can't do it all by yourself. And then he took me to some media agencies, and the good thing, I met girls. I like working with girls. I love working with girls because then I'm not thinking, oh, he's going to toast me or he's going to do this or he's going to do, hey, exists in today's world, So I remember that most of these agencies back then, Media Reach, MediaCom, most of them had women who were, So, and then I was coming with this idea of having a TV program that was out of this world. Before Expose, most people did rigid programs. Expose came with, we're doing interviews in the pool, we're doing interviews by the sea, we're doing interviews at lounges, we're doing interviews. I remember Cactus restaurants were owned by white people, beautiful locations. So we're using all, and then we're bringing in governors. I remember the first guest of Expose was Miss Nigeria then, Sylvia Edem. She was the first guest on Expose. From then we had Genevieve, we had Omotola, we had governors, Governor Fayose, then it was governor. We had, in fact, I remember interviewing then the Lagos State Waterfront Agency when President Tinubu would come to that, and Expose got the coverage license for that thing. So he would come, and whenever president, then he was the governor of Lagos State. And Expose will go and I will cover and show it on X. So Expose had the razzmatazz, but in all of it, he had a message, and that's the youth and those who are not yet there, that they could dream to be big. That is always the message I carry. No matter what you're going through today, you can achieve it if you can believe it. It will take time, but you will get there.
True. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful journey.
Thank you.
Okay, while you were in this journey, people experience so many things that stop them from reaching their full potentials. So what challenge almost made you give up, but you said, you know what, I'm not giving up?
Wow. I remember when we were starting syndication.
Okay.
We started on Minaj Broadcast International then, and we were doing well. And I thought to myself, at that time, of course, more TV stations had sprang up. And Minaj was the first station that Expose started on. As I said, we started with commercials. First commercial was Close Up. Second commercial, I think we had MTN and Co. You know what I mean? Expose was just filled the commercials. Oh yeah. So it was for me, but it had been a journey. It had been me making sure that I had a package that multinationals wanted to buy into, that the agencies wanted to buy into. Because you cannot just go and meet them and say you want them to put commercials on your brand and your brand is not tight. You have to be tight. So I remember by the time we now wanted to go to the second TV station, I won't want to mention the name now because the station is still existing till date.
Okay.
And the GM at that time was a bit troublesome. I would say troublesome in the sense that he wanted exchange. He wanted an exchange. If you want to come on our show, when are you coming to see me? When are you doing this? When are you doing that? And I kept on because I knew this was integrity. This was my talent. This was what I was called to do. So I wasn't ready to
compromise.
I wasn't ready to compromise. You know, so I mean, but I remember also at that point that every time, because it was a distance from my house to the place, and there, yes, I had already bought my first car because, of course, I got my first car at my first TV station, you know, when I was working. And I now thought to myself, but still it was a distance. I was like opposite ends of where I was staying. I was staying in Sulere. I had to be going to the island to pursue this thing. So I remember getting home that day and telling my mom, Mommy, I'm not going to go to this station again. I'm tired. You know, I said, I'm tired. And you know, I said, in fact, and my mom said, well, let's just go. I said, okay, I'll go the last time. And I remember going to that station. And when I got to the station, I saw the owners of the station by the gate. And the owners happened to be my friend. They just said, Lola, where have you been? We started now. What time do you want? Let's go now. Let's go and meet the GM. And I thought to myself, really? He doesn't know that. You know, he didn't know that I had been coming to see the same GM who was making life difficult for me. So he just took me to the station. I said, you know Lola now. What time do you want, Lola? Do you want Thursday? Do you want Saturday?
This is good.
And I remember that happening. And when we got on that station, it was another different ballgame. Because if we were doing like 5 TV commercials, by the time we got on that station, because everybody knew that station was standard at that time, and we're getting jobs like this, commercials.
The job, was it after you did the,
It was it after what?
After you did what you did with the...
Yeah, it was after I got onto the second station. And then from the second station, of course, if you were already on that station, getting other stations was easy because everybody now said, oh wow, look at her, she's on this station, she's on that station. Then we started getting different stations. We started getting different stations. From there, we got so many other stations, and you know, and then yeah.
Thank you, Mommy, for not allowing her give up.
Unfortunately, she's in heaven watching me.
Yeah, I have to continue to rest in prayer.
Amen.
Okay, Ma, there are so many young people out there still trying to find their path, still confused about what they really want to do with their lives. So what advice would you give these people?
That thing that you can do and do without getting paid. That thing that you can do, again, I say it again, and do without getting paid. Continue to do it, because that thing you will surely get paid at the end of the day. You know, it's a process. If you find yourself loving something, they wake you up, you want to do it. Keep at it, whether it's sewing, whether it's eating, whether it's whatever it is, hair making, whether it's presenting, whether it's writing scripts, whether it's cinematography, whether it's videography, whether it's editing, that thing that you always find yourself being drawn to, keep at it. You will get there.
we've heard from the CEO of Expose Media.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ma, for coming here today and for sharing your journey, your challenges, and giving us advice. Thank you so much. All right, guys, we've come to the end of this episode. Boss Move is a program that reminds everyone that every great journey starts from somewhere. See you all next week. Bye.